Hi, so today we're going to be discussing nonverbal communication and interaction with different populations. I'm Jasmine.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Mateo.
So Mateo and I worked at Miriam's Kitchen, and Jack worked at Potomac Water Polo Club. So a big thing about Miriam's Kitchen is that they emphasized a lot on different values. So it was dignity, which was presented through the services that they offered, giving meals to the clients and providing them with art therapy and different other opportunities to come in and try to fix their lives. It was a little bit of belonging because they offered shelters for them if they needed it, and a different environment for them to come and talk to each other just to see that they belong, and a little bit of change because they wanted them to do better, get jobs, get medical help, and stuff like that. So a big thing that we learned during
Yeah, I'll take care of that. So with nonverbal communication, some things that we both saw, uh, it's very like blatant that like there are three different parts of the connections in nonverbal communication. So the first one you've got smiling, and it's the most obvious, and like I said, it's the most obvious nonverbal communication, and it's the one that is universally accepted to be associated with pleasure. And there was a lot of smiling at Miriam's Kitchen, especially when you're serving the food. That was one distinct nonverbal communication. The other one are the eyes. So not a lot of people know, but when smiling, there are at the tips of your eyes there are wrinkles, and when the wrinkles go through when you're smiling, it's more of a genuine smile than as opposed to a fake smile where there are no wrinkles on the corners of the eye. So in the slideshow, I have a picture of John Edwards, and there are two different photographs, one where he's fake smiling and one where he's genuinely smiling. And it's a good way to like find the example of what I'm talking about. And so that was found in Miriam's Kitchen when looking at the different people and like eye contact and talking to them. So smiling, eyes, and the third one is posture. Believe it or not, posture I think plays an important role in distinguishing how you're feeling, and the posture there is it's either relaxed, and so your shoulders are relaxed. It's more of a laid back nonverbal communication, whereas with the other one, the opposition, which is strict posture. So hunched shoulders, maybe you're fidgeting with your hands. That's more of a strict posture, which also gives way to like more of a reserved person, or you're nervous. So in Miriam's Kitchen, there was a lot of varied responses to the postures. There were people with hunched shoulders, there were people with relaxed shoulders. I mean, it varied from person to person. I think it's a little difficult to pinpoint an overall theme of what everybody was feeling there, but for the most part, it was varied.
All right, so I specifically worked in the art therapy session. So what I did mostly is try to talk to the clients and try to see what they were working on, and they responded to you based on your tone of voice. So if you came to them actually interested in what they were working with and ready to listen to what they were working with, to just sit there and go through their work so they could have somebody to talk to, then they would respond to you. Whereas if you came in very uninterested, not confident at all about doing your job, then they're not going to respond to you. They're just going to look at you and look away and keep doing whatever it is that they were doing. Additionally, your facial expressions. When they come in, it's always best to just smile, tell them that you're there for them, tell them that you're going, if they needed help with anything, if they needed any materials, you're going to be there to give it to them, and they can come to you for anything. If you look angry, they're definitely not going to come towards you or speak to you. They're going to go to somebody else and start asking them for materials, whereas maybe that person doesn't even work in the art therapy session. So it was a lot of how you carried yourself and how much you actually tried to learn from these people and try to actually fix the way you went about everything that you did.
And so to kind of sum everything up in Miriam's Kitchen, the connections that I made that both of us made were that understanding a person and their mental state is very heavily dependent on their nonverbal communication when they're not talking to you. And so uh, those aforementioned examples are like really good ways of like finding obvious signs of how they're feeling. And so with those obvious signs, it's really easy to pick up a conversation or talk to somebody when you have a good idea of what they're feeling. And so that being said, implicitly speaking, so if a person's more responsive, you know, like I said, relaxed posture, you might want to approach them and talk to them. But if a person's more reserved, you have more information based on their posture, strict posture, smiling eyes. It's all dependent on how they're feeling, and nonverbal communication is a great way to approach a person and find how they're feeling.
And then, so I worked at the Potomac Water Polo Club, and I was really excited because growing up, I had essentially the same opportunity as all these young boys and girls who I was interacting with. And the thing about water polo is that it's a very team-based sport, and I think by being involved in a team environment and a unit at a very young age really enhances the way children are able to develop socially, physically, and mentally. And so being able to go back and like give my experiences to help better young children in this area of their life was really like kind of like eye-opening to me. The first thing I noticed was that children are very like eager to learn, and their eagerness will all depend on your attitude and how you show up to the day. Like as Jasmine was saying, like if she like looked a certain way, then the people that she was involved with wouldn't necessarily be as reciprocative to her. So that being said, like it's all generally the same with young children, and it's nice to see that transition of young children to adults. So what I said earlier, a lot of at Potomac Water Polo is teamwork, unity, and hard work. So teamwork, you know, the importance of working together, being friends, figuring out your conflicts. Unity, being like everyone's together, everyone's on the same unit, and then hard work, whether it's personal self betterment or athletic improvement. I thought that was like very important, and I was able to give my own experiences and on what needs to be done in order for them to become not only a better water polo player but also a better person. So from my nonverbal experience, and so since it's a more of like a exercise environment, was seeing fatigue on their faces and their bodies after a workout. Like if they were tired after a workout, that to me that means I did my job and I was able to improve their skills. Seeing how they're tired and how they interact with people while they're tired. Watching from afar whether Billy would when cleaning up the pool deck was helping out or lacking a little bit. Smiling, as Mateo had said earlier, being like my main goal was to create a fun learning experience, and if I had all my kids leave with a smile on their face, then I knew I did my job. So like seeing them happy really brings a sense of I did good today, and that was really satisfying. And then lastly, sportsmanship, being able to get out of the pool after a game and shake someone's hand that you just competed against for X amount of minutes. Being like a coachable athlete, were they underwater when I was giving a swim set, or were they with their head up listening to see how they can get better? So I think the connection between Miriam's kitchen and then Potomac Water Polo is really interesting because it shows how, like, at least from my perspective, how like at a young age it's really important your nonverbal cues and then those will stick with you for the rest of your life.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.